afternoon, and welcome to Real Estate Talk with Lisa. You're tuning in to the WBGR network, and we're so glad to have you today. I'm your host, Lisa Jeffrey. I'm an active realtor in the DMV and with Fairfax Realty Elite. You can reach me 301-542-5168 or at the office at 301-794-9400. And joining me today is my lovely co-host, Miss Reba Burruss-Barnes. She is a well-known publicist. She's our publicist.
Thank you.
Publicist to the stars, right, Reba? And just a staple in the community, and she's my guest co-host. And I'm just so delighted to have you here, Reba.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So I hope that you all enjoyed the MLK holiday. It took us a long time to get that as a holiday. And I hope that you spent your day in a way that was meaningful to you, whether it was out in the community or if it was reflecting on King's writings, his purpose, or where you stood in the mix of all of that. But last week we were talking about, because our topic today is economic justice, housing matters.
And it really relates very well with Dr. King's life struggles and challenges and accomplishments.
Exactly, exactly. And the thing that we were highlighting last week, we were looking at an article from the Stanford News, Dr. Gavin Wright, and he was talking about how, although it's not highly publicized or focused on as an outcome of the civil rights movement, the economic turnaround, especially in the South and the development, was of prime importance to the South, and it made a lot of difference. Not as much in the rural South as in the more metropolitan areas, but it was always a component of the civil rights movement. And economic justice was one of the tenets of King's philosophy, if you will. Desegregation and voters' rights, yes, but also that economic justice for people. And his thought was that full employment for everyone, that no one should live in poverty. And on my way in to the show, I was telling you in the car, I was listening to a broadcast that really arrested me. And actually, after I parked, I was just sitting in the car listening. Barbara Arnwine, Esquire, has a show on WOL 1450. It airs from 12 to 1, called Igniting Change. Now, I'd never heard it before, but she was actually echoing and even a little more in depth than we were last week with her presentation and her guests on that same theme. And it really made me feel good that someone else was also looking at that aspect of the movement. And I was just enjoying the conversation that she was having, talking about the boycotts and talking about that economic justice piece. And you had mentioned that, Reba, last week about the boycotts and the impact.
The boycotts helped to make things become a stronger reality for African Americans, because it was almost a year plus that they did not use the buses. They had people share car rides in the community for the maids who were going to work, folks were going to their jobs as plumbers, whatever the job may have been.
Right.
The people were able to time their use of their vehicles to keep the community off the buses in those cities. And when that happened, it didn't go for just a month. It went for about a year plus. And that impact made people stop and realize how much we are a buying part of the community, and how much our impact, if not accepted and respected,
right,
can be held close to the chest.
That's right.
And networking. Before we had cell phones, before we had phones in everybody's home,
right,
they were still able to communicate I'm sure through churches
Right.
and through different
Yes.
organizations, they must have utilized those communication grapevines to share how to not use the bus today. Use Sam Jones'
That's right.
car.
That's right.
Meet Sally at the corner.
Right.
You know, if you're going to be a maid service on Friday, we'll meet you at 3 o'clock in town for your 4 o'clock job.
That's right. That's right.
And people like Rosa Parks,
Yes.
when she got really, really ready for her move to sit still,
Yes.
okay, that's where it all became a reality. There were others ahead of her, yes.
Yes.
But she became the name in the document to make the reality push forward.
That's right.
Because she was secretary of the NAACP chapter.
Yes.
She was a record keeper, also a dressmaker. She was together, articulate, well-spoken, but humble.
Right.
But her husband supported what she was doing. So over the years, we learned the tidbits of the civil rights movement.
The internal workings.
The internal workings that evolved into the march.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But still, once you sit down and learn and hear your parents talking, your grandparents talking about their experiences, you can look back and go, oh yeah, I remember that story. Because the books didn't share it, Lisa.
Oh no. And that's why we do have to take into account and do our own research. And that goes back to respecting the older men and women in our community.
Yes.
I was at an event a few months ago, and that's a gentleman read a piece of poetry.
Yes.
And it was so well done. And it was, a young man, basically telling the older people, you don't have anything you can tell me. But, there's such a wealth of wisdom and experience. And at that time, he was kind of deriding the older people because they weren't standing up and they weren't doing this and they weren't doing that. But these people came from the era that made it possible for his impudence to be said, because to have the freedoms that he had, it was on the backs of those people, and they were in the poem as he read his piece. The older people replied along those lines, but hearing the stories and knowing where we come from and knowing that working together as a people and having investments in black businesses, investments in black banking, that was a theme that King put forth and that he was supporting, and it still echoes now, that how we can strengthen our own communities. And I often, when I hear consumer price index going up and down, consumer spending is up, and in my head I'm thinking certain communities are buying more now than they were. In
other communities.
In other communities, yes. And so, but you have to understand that your dollars are an economic driver, and so where you're driving them and parking them is where you should be expecting some results. And if you want to strengthen your community, you have to find ways to put your money back into your community. You may say, well, I don't see this in my community. I don't see that. That's why I go here. Well, let's see how we can bring that into our community, or create that out of our community. I watched the Black Wall Street piece, and I was saddened on so many levels about the outcome, but I was encouraged on so many levels about the accomplishments that were done, and the excellence. People may say, well, we can't live together, we argue, we fuss, in the African American community, but they were doing it, and they were making it work, and it was a thing of beauty to behold. Because when you talk to the people that were alive in that time, they remarked on what a beautiful. That's what sparked some of the envy and some of the violence, was the beauty of the communities that were created. And we may not see that in some of our communities now, where it's underserved, whether it's a food desert, whether it's a lack of employment, decent housing. But we, more than ever, I think, possess the means to be able to enact that.
Well, people have to realize that now it's unfortunate during Black History period, which began on King's birthday, January the 15th, the actual birthday. It's sad that the new Museum of African American Culture is closed because a lot of young people come to town during this period
That's right.
to see our history.
That's exactly right.
So now that lays it upon the elders in the home, in the church, to share those old stories, which to them are still a new story. But they can share it and share it more boldly because the museum can back them up.
That's right.
Okay.
They have the articles and the exhibits, the proof, you know.
The Black Wall Street exhibit, all those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, you know, that's the case now. I'm going to try to pull up. I saw it was a company that she mentioned. I mean, not a company, but an organization that she had mentioned in part of the show that is actually decided to kind of move forward the economic justice agenda. And I just wanted to see, we may have to bring it back after the break, but I want to talk about, you know, what they are doing. And it was the
economic justice agenda, you're saying?
Yes, they were focusing on the economic justice agenda for King and trying to put some things in place that would put forth his principles and what he was moving forward for.
You know, years ago, Reverend Fontroy discussed the plan Dr. King had, and then unfortunately when Dr. King died, there was no major plan in motion.
Yes.
I think because he died so suddenly.
Right, it was such a shock.
It's such a shock. But thing is, though, the folks that were involved, the committee was still there. Their CLC,
yes,
Southern
Christian Leadership
Conference. They're still functioning, and it's wonderful. But the thing is, the momentum had a shake-up.
Yes.
You know, so now we have another kind of shake-up happening today in today's news. But I thank God that everybody right now is staying right here, steadfast, unmovable.
Yes.
You know, not trying to tear down the cities because
Yes.
the check is missing.
Yes.
Like I said last week, put some more beans in that pot, you know, and just get things in order. When that old job becomes available again,
yes,
we're going to be ready.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And what I've also been hearing is that people are looking at alternate streams of income, other things to do. So, you know, many will go back when they're called back, but some may be going back with something else going on because they recognize that. But, you know, what I do see, you know, someone had likened some of the lines that they've been saying with, you know, with some of the furloughed friends and neighbors is they likened it to the Depression era. But I tell you what has really been a comfort to me, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more later in today's episode, is the heartfelt desire for people to give to each other.
Yes, it is wonderful.
Whether it's time, whether it's actual resources, it's rides, and just to see so many people that really embodies the spirit of the African American community.
Certainly.
And also, I think the true spirit of America, where so many people came here. And we know about slavery, and I'm not minimizing that. And that was, you know, of course, that was an atrocious wrong. But I'm just saying that spirit of the melting pot and all of us working together for, you know, our country and trying to create opportunity. And of course, it's not been perfect, but it's still, when you look at other countries and you look at where we are overall as a nation, people are coming here because they see the opportunity. But to see people, so many people willing, you know, what can I do? What can I give? What can I have? We're going to highlight some of them today and give you some feedback from the community. But that has really, really, I mean, it's warmed my heart. It really has.
What I like to see is that we have the schools. I think it fell on like left foot, right foot. They say, okay, they're not working today, but we need help in the classrooms.
Yes.
That's always been a needed entity.
Right.
To have someone's child able to be held down in an encouraging way. They can still study.
Right.
And not have the class be disrupted.
Right.
So now they have a move to have, in a variety of school districts, they're hiring the parents who are not working. And this window of opportunity gives the parents a chance to watch little Jamie and little Joey in class.
That's
and
right.
how they really act in real life. Because teachers
away
cannot
from mom
prove,
and dad.
right, but teachers cannot prove to a parent a child's behavior.
Yes.
So now
That's
everyone is on an even basis of need.
Right.
So if Sally Ann's mama can come to school that day and get a check and still be able to
Hey.
help another person's child do better,
That's right.
it's going to be a better community.
That's right.
But
That's
the
right.
thing is, though, it should not be because we're made to go to school.
That's
right
right.
now we have to go. We have to apply for another job. We have to be humble and accept the job to accept a student at no matter what level they are.
Right.
Because if the school is elementary, if it's pre-kindergarten, if it's middle school or high school, just be open to the knowledge that everyone is on the same level playing field. There's no food in the house. There's no money coming in the house. And as of this Friday, it's 2 paychecks.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So leave it to you next, ma'am.
We're going to take just a quick break right now, and then we're going to come back and talk about some housing issues and why housing is important. We'll be right back.
Are you hungry yet? Come on over to Peru's Chicken, where we're cooking up mouth-watering Peruvian-style dishes like quesadillas, tacos, burritos, yuca, arroz con mariscos, camarones a la parrilla, charbroiled chicken, fresh salads, and so much more. Our friendly staff at both of our locations, Lanham at 9001 Annapolis Road in Lanham, Maryland, or Mitchellville at 12106 Central Avenue in Mitchellville, Maryland, we are ready to serve you. Just come on in. Y claro que sí, hablamos español. Peru's Chicken. ¿Tengo hambre?
Following up a little bit on our discussion of economic justice as put forth by Dr. Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, and how relevant it is even today. Investing in black businesses is important now more than ever, and investing in African American communities is important because we all need to thrive. We all need to have, a place to call home. Some of us may be renting. Some of us may be homeowners. Some of us are renting and aspiring to be homeowners at some point. But it's just really important to look at our communities and look at the investment that we're making. Where is our money going? Where is our time going? And what is our return on our investment? Because when you take your money to the bank, you're looking to see who's giving you the best interest rate. And that's where you're going to put your money because you want the best rate of return. If you're buying a stock, you don't want to buy the stock that's not performing.
Right.
You want to buy the stock that is performing. And so we want to create not only saying, invest in the community, but also create an atmosphere where we can get a return on investment.
Exactly.
Where the money is just not going into the community and nothing is happening, but that we're creating value through our investment, that we can then reap a return in lives, in potential, in the actualized potential of our young people and all of our community members. Okay? But one of the things we're talking about, and we looked at another article this week. It's entitled How Housing Can Determine Educational, Health, and Economic Outcomes. It was written by Veronica Gaitan. And I came across this article because on previous times, we've talked about how having a stable dwelling place is so important, especially have children.
Yes.
But even as an adult, having a stable living environment is so important to so many other outcomes in your life.
Yes.
And I think when we had hosted one of our guests, she had become a homeowner, and one of the things she had posted on her page was how she'd gone in to see the teacher.
Yes.
And the teacher was like, your child's doing really great in school. What have you been doing? She said, well, I bought a house.
It's a big improvement.
It's a big improvement. She bought a house. And so having that stability of having a home and feeling more secure, I think freed up the child's mind to then focus on the academics. Because, we don't really, sometimes as an adults, when we're trying to work out our housing and everything, we don't always realize how the lack of stability occupies your child's mind.
Mm-hmm.
So in real estate terms, she was able to evict that instability and now have more real estate in her mind for her academics, right?
And the child can come home sometime to their own bedroom.
That's right.
Their own little make-believe desk, or even a real desk.
That's right.
And now with all the children now needing to have their own IT equipment,
yes.
They can have their own space, do their homework, because STEM has taken over.
Oh, yes.
In a great way.
Yes.
So it's nice to see that people look at having a home and having even an area allocated for that.
That's right.
Some people I love watching. Don't get mad at me.
Okay.
I love HGTV.
So do most of my clients.
Yeah. So you see all the ideas.
Yes.
For the open space.
Yes.
The open space.
I have quite a few classes.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking for. It's like open space. Mm-hmm. I need a big basement. I need lots of room. Yes.
But in the old days, it was called an apartment.
But how many of us in there, right?
That's right.
You had to put the schedule up for who's going to the bathroom first, and yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, who's washing clothes this time? Okay.
And washing dishes and cutting the lawn.
Yes.
Our dad was good at that. Believe me. But I love the article you had for us this week. Mm-hmm. I love it because it gives us a chance to look at what makes things stem from a history of unstable, unaffordable, and poor housing.
That's right.
Those become social issues. Mm-hmm. But the research shows, Lisa, in the article you gave me today, that housing is the first rung on the ladder to economic opportunity for individuals.
That's right.
And that a person's access to opportunity is intrinsically linked with that of the community at large. Mm-hmm. As the gap between rents and incomes widens, it is critical that professionals in fields outside housing, including health, education, economic development, among others, and understand its central importance.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And that's why, I said we're going to be doing more shows that not only deal with real estate, but also deal with economic development because they're tied together.
And rescue resources as well.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Knowing where, because so many times we have people that are providing resources in the community, but people may not know where they are.
Right.
And it'd be multiple sources for food. Like this place feeds on Monday, this place feeds on Wednesday, where you can have food throughout the week enough to sustain you in your crisis. But if you don't know where it is,
well, that's just it. I've noticed several TV interviews. People are, for the first time ever, going to a food bank.
Yes. And
that it seems that they feel very, very embarrassed.
Yes.
But they don't realize they've always been there, but it wasn't your day.
It wasn't your day.
The old term people say, stay in your lane. Well, that's fine, but now you got to follow your need.
That's right.
And not be embarrassed. If the time comes that you must go over there and stand there and give your name, show your ID, whatever the facts are needed are.
That's right.
Smile and say thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Because most folks don't understand it's a big deal having to be humble.
It is.
It's a big deal.
It is.
And once you are humble,
Mm-hmm.
the blessings come from all over the place.
That's right.
Because the people in line will say, are you aware of Sally Ann's church on Saturdays? They're going to have some bread available. And people go, well, okay.
Yeah.
And some folks will turn ahead and ignore them. But
Yeah.
trust me, somebody's listening.
Somebody's listening. And you get to Sally Ann's church, you get your bread.
Yes.
Oh, you know, they're having a meat giveaway
Yes.
this day, you know. And so, but that is true. It's just like when you're looking for a job, you know, you might, because I was talking to a young friend of mine, and he was saying, well, I said, you know, how's the job? I said, well, I don't have this, I don't have that. And I said, well, you know, if you begin to make the steps,
Yes.
you will gather help along the way. But if you stay here and don't move, no one's going to help you. Nobody can help a parked car. It's in park. Okay? So, but now if you're driving down the road and you run out of gas, somebody come along, well, what's wrong? Can you need some help? I ran out of gas. Okay, I can get you to the gas station. Well, sir, I don't have any. I got $5. I can get you to the next spot. You see what I'm saying? But you were on the road. So you got to get on the road. That's what we talk about here on the show. You know, our theme, of course, is opening the doors with keys of independence, where we seek to educate, empower, and motivate you to action. And so that's the thing, understanding what you need to do, and then being empowered to take steps, however small or what you may feel is insignificant they are, and making your way,
Yes.
you know, to get what you want. And you will find, we're going to talk about the boot camp a little later. You'll find that there's resources out there for you that you would never have known about had you not started on the path. The Bible talks about the person who doesn't go outside because they say it's a lion outside, but it's no lion. They just, you know, the fear of moving forward.
Right.
We all have those fears of moving forward in whatever area we are in, but we have to go ahead and step out, and then once we do, we find that help comes along.
Yes.
But this section kind of covers what we were talking about before, but it gives us some statistics. It says, you know, how housing affects educational outcomes. So it says children who live in a crowded household at any time before the age 19 are less likely to graduate from high school and tend to have a lower educational attainment. So that goes back to, you know, what we were saying before. Of course, living in poor quality housing in disadvantaged neighborhoods is also associated with lower kindergarten scores.
Yeah.
Now, they were talking about, they named a specific school district, but, you know, if you're a realtor, like I am, you know, if I have young people that either are going to start a family or they have children already, what do you want to know? You want to know about that school system. What's the desirable neighborhood for you? The one in the school system that are near the school that has the best scores. And that's what they found was that in this particular study that they did, that area, the prices for the homes was like 3 times more than in the good school district than it was in the poor school district, because the demand drives that price up.
The other point, though, before you go to that thing about the homeless, I wanted to mention the homeless. If they are less likely to demonstrate the term proficiency in their academic studies,
Yes.
the children, although they might not be in the where the home may have been before, they're entitled to certain rights as a homeless child. And those children are able to go to the school. You speak to the counselor. They have a person on staff that can help you have the proper uniforms.
Yes.
A child need not feel ostracized at any moment about school. And a lot of times, the children who may have been homeless, once they have a chance to start studying and have a chance to be chosen for a team or whatever the terms are,
Yes.
they suddenly become the best student in the class.
Right.
And no one knows the difference.
That's right.
You know, and
all they need is an opportunity.
opportunity. And right now, all the kids in school should be happy to welcome anyone that comes to their door, because don't know who they are behind that smile, behind the mask.
Behind the mask.
So you want to be able to welcome every student, because they might be the best team player in the
That's
building.
right. That's right.
And
That's
have
right.
other, because of their experiences,
Yes.
their street smarts, they might be able to outstudy any kid in the room.
Right. Because they're going to channel all of that what
Oh,
they've
yes.
learned. Because it builds in, when you do have hardships, it does build in a certain amount of resilience,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in how you operate. Now, one of the other things, and it was really interesting that how schools affect housing values. I was surprised to see that. I guess, but it's logical when you think about it. But to think about how that impacts, but then that goes back to us as community individuals demanding quality education in our communities, because then that increases the property values, that increases the desirability of that neighborhood, and it may be able to bring some other things into the neighborhood to serve the people that want to come there. You know, so that's one. You know, that I thought that was an interesting aspect of the
It
study.
is. To me, it's interesting too. On any program you might see, the people who are looking for a new home,
Yes.
they ask the realtor about the schools.
Right.
And so I'm talking about years ago, the PTA.
Yes.
The PTA is
Oh
active.
my, that was years ago.
Years ago, many blessings ago.
Yes.
But the schools are very active, and plus the schools publish how their grades are
Yes.
and how they're competent with their teaching skills and all that in the school.
That's right.
But I'm going to tell you, it's interesting. They always ask, how's the school?
And you know, as a realtor, and just so you know that your realtor is not blowing you off. As realtors, ethically, we can't give you information
Right.
directly about schools, but what we will normally do is refer you to a website for you to get that information.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with crime statistics, and it probably stems back from times when people use school scores and crime information to deter people from one neighborhood to the other neighborhood and things like that. So that's not something that we can do. So don't be upset with your realtor if you're asked about the schools, but they can definitely refer you. Like on my webpage, I think there's a link that shows you like where the schools are,
Right.
and then you can launch from that into seeing the individual school, and they normally will have their performance there.
And it seems as though people could also, from different times of the year, visit the public programs.
Yes.
You know, a school concert,
Oh, yeah,
the
that's a
art
great idea,
show.
Reba.
Thank you. The PTA meetings. Just walk in and say, I'm new in the neighborhood. I'd like to know more about your community. I'm considering moving here. You know,
That's
it
right.
makes a more welcoming interaction than just sitting around going, I don't want to go there. No, that school will be the best school you can find because you stepped up and said, hello, I'm new.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, there were several health outcomes because it talked about how housing affects health outcomes. But one I thought was interesting was the one that says households with poor housing quality had 50% higher odds of an asthma-related emergency department visit in the past year for them, for this particular community. Now, excuse me, I'm not saying if you're renting you're going to get asthma, but when you can control what type of flooring, like I have clients that look for hardwood floors because either the parents or the children have allergies. You can customize your home the way you want it.
I hear you.
And so that is what something that you have that you don't have when you have a rental. And so that's a plus for home ownership, in terms of being able to control that, to create the best healthy environment that you can for your family in terms of the materials that you have in your home and those sorts of things. You have much more license and freedom than you do as a renter.
Well, I want to be very tactful. If the home for the prior owner may have had a rodent problem or other kinds of small, bug problems, they can also cause for family impact to asthma as well.
Yes.
It's aside from being simply
That
a health thing.
internal air quality.
Yes, and maybe having the vents cleaned
Yes,
before
because
moving
sometimes
in.
people neglect that. You know, they do all the other cleaning, but then you'll see like that dust there. And if you're getting too much dust, then maybe you want to have your HVAC system checked and see if there's a problem there.
I hear you.
And so also, if you had single parent families living in violent neighborhoods, that those parents met or exceeded the average for self-reported physical health, and but they fell below the mental health average. So it takes a toll. It takes a toll. I remember reading a post just recently, you know, with the gunshots in the neighborhood. So where you live affects your mental health. So we're going to take a quick look at some of the economic outcomes.
All right.
And then we're going to go into our next section. So it says that, and I thought this was interesting, that black per capita income is lower in regions with higher levels of economic and black and white segregation. So where there's less integration, and the black incomes seem to be lower. So I don't know what the the premise is behind it, because she didn't expand on that. But I thought that was an interesting observation that she made. And they also said that there's a positive relationship between high levels of automobile ownership and the estimated rates of foreclosure mortgage default, meaning the transportation cost to have the car affected sometimes the ability to pay the mortgage. Now, it didn't say, there's a positive, when they say it's a positive relationship, is that, they can see that they kind of go together.
Right.
But you don't know how much of the effect that it is.
All right.
And so being able to find affordable housing near where you work or near transit is a key thing, because that also limits where you can live, and the quality of housing that you can have if you don't have a car, So, and if you do have one, it gives you more access to housing, more access to job opportunities. So we brought this article mainly to say that, housing matters.
Yes.
Having a house matters. And I know now a lot of people are, looking at if, renting versus buying, which is better. It's always better to have your own. But you may not be ready now, or that may not fit your lifestyle now. You may be young. You may be deciding where you want to go. And so you say, hey, you know what? I don't want to purchase yet. I don't want the responsibility yet. I have some things I want to do.
Right.
So home ownership may not be for everyone because of where you see yourself in your life. But when you have home ownership, it creates a more stable environment for you overall. Gives you much more control, and it's something that also you can keep in your family.
I hear you.
Yeah.
We discussed earlier the term buyer's market as well as the term seller's market.
Yes.
Right now, with the way things are, with government being shut down, and you were discussing how some people's plans to buy a home to go to closing may be impacted.
That's true.
So where are we now, buyer's market or seller's market?
We in our area, we've been in a seller's market for a long time, meaning there's a lot more buyers than there are sellers. And we know that some of those things are shifting. I know in certain price points, I've been seeing properties on the market, and I go and pull them up again. It's like decrease in terms of the pricing. And part of that has to do with pricing your property right, but also the price that you, as a seller, that you might have priced it in 2 months ago may not be the price that it should be priced at now if you're going to sell it. So you have to be clear about what your bottom line price is. Sometimes, we may want to try to recoup some improvements that we've made over the years, and that may not be possible depending on the market where you are. But that being said, I think sellers have to keep this in mind too, that if your house is on the market now, a great segment of your potential buyers may be knocked out of the running. You know, so there may be less buyers now than there were. Well, I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there are less buyers than there were. So now you have a smaller pool.
Yeah.
So you may have to be a little more flexible in your pricing. We may see, you know, more sellers willing to give more concessions. I don't think there's enough data in yet to really say what the impact is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it swings just a little bit, not because there's necessarily more inventory coming in the market, but because the current consumers or purchasers is going to be limited a little bit. And then you have to think about what's the long range repercussions for the housing market when you've had people that have had good credit all this time and they've been saving, and now they have some dings for the credit. You know, we see a lot of the financial institutions. We've got posts on the Real Estate Talk with Lisa Page, courtesy of Marcus Daniels, Cynthia Davis, Alethea Morris, different people that have posted the information that they have, and we'll continue to share that information. But they are looking at you know, the different services that are available, and some of the financial institutions are making arrangements for you to be able to pay bills. But if you're not necessarily part of that institution, you might not be, you know, might not have that available. But a lot of organizations, because they know it's not your fault, they're working with you. But how, you know, how will that credit hit to the consumer play out when they are ready to buy, when they're back in the workforce? You know, will that have an impact? And we just, you know, we really can't say, you know, what would happen.
I hosted a program some years ago, and we discussed these kinds of situations.
Yes, ma'am.
Where you can go to the credit bureau on the side margin, give a 25-word statement to update your system. Is that still available to your knowledge?
I want to say yes. 'Cause I can't imagine it being taken away, but I cannot swear to it. So don't get me, don't hold me to it, because I'm not positive.
No, but call them.
Yeah, call them. But I will call it and find out.
Right. Because this is not a hidden agenda. Everyone knows right now. Everyone is impacted, be it a sister, brother, cousin, and it's going to impact their next step.
That's right.
So if you know what your rights are, and don't abuse the system, just work with the system.
That's right.
You want to keep your, your ethics right.
That's right.
You know, so don't
keep your integrity.
Your integrity. You don't want to take this advantage and say, they're shut down. No. You didn't have it last week before this thing happened. It's a different story. So you want to be able to update yourself, present yourself, and be representing yourself in a good way.
That's right. That's right. And when you do, I think you'll find some doors that will open for you. But now, you know, last week we had Reggie Dirksen in here, our friend, and we were talking about some of the grant programs that are available for you. And one of our slogans for this year is Open Doors 2019. And we're really focused on presenting you with guests this season that can open doors to knowledge on the economic development, contracting, commercial sales, things going on in the residential market. You know, we got Amazon coming, so we're definitely going to want to focus on that as those things progress. And so that's really our focus, is to be able to really, you know, we say open the doors with keys of independence, but we really do want to provide you with every tool that we can, every information segment that we can that can help. And one of the things we're doing this weekend, this Saturday.
Yes.
Yay, this Saturday.
Already signed up.
You signed? All
yes,
right,
I did.
now. So look, some of you said you was interested. I need you to follow through if you're interested. But we're having a home buyers boot camp this Saturday from 10 to 12. at Old Line Bank in Bowie. It's on Mitchellville Road. Let me see the address because I didn't memorize.
4201.
Mitchellville Road, and it's Suite 200. And so we'd love to have you there. There will be refreshments, but I need you to go to Eventbrite and register. It's a free event. There's free parking, and Reggie's going to break down a lot of the grants that are available out there. He'll let you know what the requirements are. We're going to be able to do on-site financial analysis to see where you are. And so and if you're already in good shape, you'll be able to leave with an on-site approval. We'll approve you right there. Old Line Bike has their own underwriters, and they're in that particular branch. So Reggie actually his office is down the hall from them, and he's already talked to an underwriter who has committed to being there for the entire event for us. And I'm so glad that he's going to be there so that we can get you through if you need to. So we expect you to be able to leave with a plan and or an approval. But hold on one moment. I think we have a caller on the line. So let's just see. Well, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
It's Reggie, everybody. How you doing, Reggie?
I'm doing great now. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Reba and I are here, and we just
Hi, Reggie.
Gave them the announcement about the boot camp. So I told them you had the underwriter lined up for us, the one that's down the hall from your office, and we're going to have them leave with a plan and approval. Do you have a word of encouragement for them in terms of coming out?
Absolutely. This is going to be a fantastic event. Not only do they will have the experience of your tutelage and also the number of years I've been in the industry, but actually, if they come in and they're focused, they're positive, we'll be able to ideally give them a letter. Worst case, give them an action plan, a game plan to get there.
Excellent, excellent. And guys, if you go and sign up on Eventbrite, I have some FAQs there for what you need to bring with you so we can get you approved. There's not a lengthy list. It's just a couple of items. And just bring those with you when you come. And there's free parking. And you're going to be able to get them some no fluff, real meat info about the grants, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have handouts. Please bring all your questions. You'll have questions there.
Yes.
So I'll be able to answer those questions. But also, what I'm excited about, we're talking about my senior underwriter. You can ask the underwriter the question. And in most cases, he'll be the one who's going to sign off on your loan. This is a time where you get a chance to ask the underwriter the question. Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome. And I tell you, guys, if you haven't ever been in a real estate transaction, sometimes the word underwriter can be an ominous phrase. It's like, so how's my file doing? Well, it's with the underwriter. It's like saying it's with the undertaker, It's with the underwriter. It's like, well, what's he saying? Well, we don't know. They're in California. We have to call them back. We're ahead of them. And so being able to have that underwriter right there to answer the questions. Of course, I'll be doing a piece just talking to you a little bit about what the home buying process is. You can talk to me about what your concerns are, what you may not have a clear understanding of, and I'll have some handouts as well. So we're really just looking to have a great time of sharing information. If you yourself are a homeowner, you're watching, please share the information, because that's the thing about it. We just want to get the word out.
Yes, and Lisa, you hit it right on the nose when you mentioned who knows where underwriting is located. Our underwriting office, our decision-making, processing, funding is all done right here in Bowie at the boot camp.
Good.
In this location, this building, we make those decisions for all 38 of our branches, across the state. So this is where the buck stops, and I'm excited because, of course, I am experienced with the programs, but now you'll have the person who's actually going to be signing off on all those fun things, great things that I talk
Exactly.
So
yes.
Reggie, when the appraiser gives the approval, the underwriter, how long is that document? What's the window for the document? Is it a matter of months or until the house is purchased?
Well, through most of the loan programs we have, and depends on the program, we can, you could say, close a loan within 30 to 45 days. And again, ideally, we like to say 45, but we can get it done in 30 days because we layer a number of grant programs. So sometimes we might have a federal grant and a state grant, and they all have different timetables and requirements. There are some programs where it may take 60 days. And a lot of times the county programs take a little longer because there's steps and processes, but there's a lot of benefits for all. And that's why it's great for us to communicate. I'll communicate with Lisa or the realtor to make sure we're all on the same page. But if your question is, if we're coming down to the end of the month or close to that closing time, there is no 3 days or a week to wait for the underwriter to clear the conditions. If it's time and the conditions are there, we'll do it the same day. I mean, we're here to close loans and help home buyers get into homes, not to just go through a process.
And Reggie, the letter, the approval letter that they will get, how long is that good for? Is that 90 days, 60 days when it's issued?
Normally, it's good for about 120 days. Usually the time frame of the credit report. So from that standpoint, it's very easy for us to do an update. But we're not here to keep running the credit. But in most cases, as you know, Lisa, once we get that letter, you start shopping. Usually 3 to 4 months is more than enough time.
Yes.
For those individuals who really are serious about buying.
That's right. That's right. Well, Reggie, thank you so much for calling in and just letting the audience know a little bit more about our event. And we're looking forward to seeing you and them this Saturday. And have a great afternoon.
Thank you. I'm excited. I want you to have a great day, and I want all your listeners to have a fantastic day as well.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care, Reggie.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So we're going to cut to a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes because we're going to finish up the last few minutes of the show today talking about some rescue resources.
Peace and blessings, everyone. This is Wessita coming to you with some great news. Mark your calendars for Sunday, January 27th, the grand opening of the Two Below Baby Boutique. This is a boutique designed to help anyone raising a child newborn to 24 months. If interested, please send me an email, mecca1997@gmail.com, mecca1997@gmail.com. Peace.
All right. So the young lady you saw in that break is our dear friend, Wessita McKinley. She is a veteran. She is a powerhouse in the community.
Amen.
She is the leader, one of the leaders of Sistas United. That's SISTAHS United. And while Wessita works with the Capital Area Food Bank by day, she moonlights as a feeder of the community through Sistas United. And she operates a food pantry. And I tell you, I've been there. I've watched people come in.
Mm-hmm.
You could not imagine. Reba was talking earlier about, whether you might feel embarrassed about going. You could not imagine a warmer environment. I mean, it's just love, and just what do you need? Okay, well, we got this. Okay, we'll go over there. We got this and this. And I mean, that's just her heart. Her heart is to serve. She's started the new enterprise 2 and Below for the babies. And she works with seniors as well. And so she's really a vibrant part of our community because her concern has always been about the food deserts.
Well, they do well about that. They do well about that as far as the information for the Capital Food Bank as well.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Wessita's done for 25 years now.
Yes.
It's not a new endeavor. Mm-hmm. So it makes you feel good that folks are doing good things for the community, and they're well supported by Capital Food Bank as well.
That's right. That's right. Let me pick this call up.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Lisa.
Yes, Miss Wessita. We were just talking to them about, your long history as a community advocate and activist, and just the great things that you do in the community. We were talking earlier, and because Reba had mentioned how she'd seen, some people who is the first time they ever had to go to a food bank and they were feeling a little embarrassed. It was really hard. And I was just sharing that we've been to your facility, seen how you welcome people, how it's just a loving type setup, and how you are so warm with the people. And, as if you didn't have your hands full enough already, now you're doing the two and below with Kris. I didn't catch Kris's last name.
It's Kris Murray.
Kris Murray.
Okay.
And so this is a new enterprise, and we just ran your clips for that. But I wanted you to call in. We got just a couple of minutes, but I wanted you to give me just a little bit of what you got from a town hall meeting last night, I believe it was, regarding furloughed employees and some of our Prince George's County officials.
Yes, I went to the Community of Hope Church last night at Hillcrest Heights, Maryland, and they had on hand Congressman Anthony Brown, the new for Prince George's County, Aisha Brave Boy, the new state's attorney. They had the school board members there. They even had a representative for federal employees. I guess it would be their union rep there.
Wow.
It was very heartbreaking. Even the sisters were there, the ones that were just blessed. I believe it's by Ellen, the Furlough Sisters, for their cheesecake company
yes.
that they just started. They were even there. But it was, as they passed the mic, as they went through, it was highly attended. Tears began to flow. One sister was there where her baby needed medical care, an infant, I'm talking 3 months old, due to the fact that the proper paperwork wasn't done by HR. Guess what? HR is closed. Guess what? Her child doesn't have any medical care right now. The paperwork wasn't done. There was a woman there that said she hasn't been out of her house in 30 days. She's suffering from depression. There was another sister there, lost her spot in daycare. But the beauty of it all is everyone began to tell their stories. We came together as a village, and we all pitched in and tried to meet that need. So it was kind of a bittersweet, but I think these town halls are needed. I myself know exactly what they're going through because I am a survivor of 2008. In 2008, with the recession, I lost everything I ever owned, and there was nothing there for us. At least now with the furlough people, I think we've learned, and we've learned to lend a helping hand. Like I said, there was absolutely nothing for us. Whereas the furlough people, they got restaurants now want to serve them breakfast, lunch, dinner. They got resource centers. So we've come a long way, but the fact still remains that people are still hurting.
That's right.
And with that said, two major things are happening that Sistas United is involved with. The first thing is tomorrow, which is Wednesday, January 23rd at 1 p.m. There's going to be a online where you can call in no matter what part of the country you live in. You can call in. We're having and let your need be known. I tell folks, this is not the time to be proud. You can't eat pride. You can't sleep pride. Pride don't put a roof over your head. If nobody knows what you're going through, how can we help you?
That's right.
You are among 800,000 plus. Because, sister, you got to understand, we're not only still working with the furlough employees, there was a huge demographic amount of people that was suffering before and needed help before the furlough.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so if people are furloughed or you are affected indirectly or directly, tomorrow will be an amazing time for you to call in with Kris Murray and Dr. Baruch at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The telephone number is 240-455-5934. Once again, that number is 240-455-5934. And then the next thing is Sunday, January 27th, is the grand opening of the Two Below Baby Boutique. Anyone raising a child between the ages of newborn and 24 months, we are asking you to contact us. We will be giving out baby items. Many people do not know, come February 1st, the funding for SNAP and WIC will be dissolved. That means no benefits. Y'all hear that?
Yes.
SNAP and WIC dissolved. If this thing is not cleared up by next Friday, the 1st of February. And so we're doing on January 27th, 4 to 6 p.m., the grand opening of the Two Below Baby Boutique, where you can come and get things like diapers, formulas, if you need a crib, if you need a stroller. Now, sister, I do believe in operating in decency and order. We are a small Sistas United, SISTAS. We're a small nonprofit without a grant. We can only do so much because I fund everything out of my pocket or private donations. And so what we want to do is the first 15 people who email me and register, those are the ones that will get service this go round. Once again, the first 15 people that email me. My email address is Mecca1997. That's M as in Mary, ECCA 1997@gmail.com. I need you to put in the subject line Two Below. That's it. And then I will reach back out to you, give you all the pertinent information. Because what I don't want is people to stand in line. People in need. I don't want people to be in the cold elements. It's not fair to them. I believe no matter what any of us are going through, especially at this time, everyone should be treated with dignity and respect.
Amen. Amen. Well, girl, that's my time, but I thank you so much for calling in and giving us the info, and I know you'll send me a link for us to post on the page with the things as well, with the times and the dates. But thank you so much for calling in, Wessita, and thank you for all that you do in the community.
Thank you for having me, as always. Y'all have a blessed one.
You too. All right, guys, this is our time. We want to thank you. Get in the boot camp. We'll be looking for you. And remember, we'll see you at the show.